Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again. How's everybody doing today? Okay, all right. So this is the second of 3 days of the mini camp. Now, it's not really much going on right now. They're just doing their practicing, getting everything finalized before they take their 5-week break before they come back for training camp and get ready to go to Oxnard, California. Now, I'm always afraid during this time of the off season. I'm gonna tell you why. 2 key things. First of all, you have 5 weeks. This vacation time. And granted, the players deserve it. They deserve to go out, have fun, do their thing. But what I think that the CBA rules need to be changed, and I really thought they were going to do something about that this off season, but obviously that's to no avail. Hopefully in the future they can look through this and try to make some changes in the rules in the off season. But okay, so you go through your voluntary workouts, your OTAs, then you go through your mini camp. That's only a week apart, a couple of days break in between. Then they go for a month and a week, or some teams just a month, depending on what your scheduled days are for training camp. You literally go over a month without any football. The problem with that is a lot of these players are going on vacation and they're not working out like they should, and they're susceptible to a lot of injuries. They come back to training camp with the team, and everything is hardcore once you get to training camp. It's hitting, it's pads, it's team drills, 7-on-7, everything's going on around you. And then you deal with the weather and the heat, and all of that counteracts things, and then we get these soft tissue injuries, they get these hamstrings, people getting concussions, people breaking their feet. I mean, I don't know how many players then broke a 5th metatarsal. I'm so sick of hearing about a metatarsal. But I'm just saying, like, it scares me because these injuries happen. Now, granted, I know that injuries are inevitable. It happens to every team, every offseason, every season in general. So there's nothing you could really do about major injuries, but you can reduce them to the point that, like, you don't have as many, or you don't have any players going down for the whole season, tearing ACLs and patella tendons and stuff like that. So I just look at it like this. They definitely need to look into that, because in my opinion, I don't think that it's conducive. You know what I mean? I think that what they need to do is they need to take minicamp and OTAs and move minicamp and OTAs closer to training camp. That way, if you're going to give the guys a break, let it be like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Give them 2 weeks off. That's good enough. You know what I mean? But the fact that they worked out, did their OTAs, did their mini camp, and then you got all this time off, it's just so much time off that they're not ready. They have to recondition themselves. But the whole purpose of the mini camp is to condition yourself to get ready for the training camp program. But again, you get to training camp and then you're already out of shape again because you haven't done anything for a month. So, but you're asking young players in their 20s to be responsible and make sure that they're working out every day to make sure that their bodies are ready for training camp. But in essence, that's not exactly what they're doing. And again, they deserve to have a break. They deserve to have their vacation. But during this time, being so close to training camp and getting ready for the season, I think that time needs to be a little shorter. I think that they just need to push these times closer to training camp. That way, there's no issues. You know what I mean? Like, you're not having all these problems. Number 2, you guys already know that the Cowboys are always watched like a hawk. I don't know what TMZ has against the Dallas Cowboys, but it seems like every time something happens, they're always quick to report stuff that's going down, whether it's newsworthy or not. It's just ridiculous. But and then you have a holiday in between that time. You got 4th of July. I know you guys remember when Jason Pierre-Paul blew up his finger. I mean, you don't play with fireworks with your hands and light them, because what happens when you do that, you burn fingers, you burn fingers, you burn fingers, and then they're gone. So let it be known, kids and adults, be responsible this 4th of July holiday and not light a firecracker with your hand. Please don't do that. That's why they have holders for that. I just hope that none of our players get into any type of trouble this off season going forward, especially with 4th of July coming up. I just hope that nobody gets in trouble. We can have a drama-free this part of the off season. That way, so when we go to training camp, there's nobody missing. Those are my two biggest things: players keeping out of trouble during this time, and injuries because of too much time off in between mini camp and training camp. That's my biggest things. But outside of that, let me know what y'all think about that. Because to me, it just makes a lot of sense for them to move it closer to training camp. Because I've been thinking about that for the last couple of weeks, and I'm just like, wow, you really have like this big gap, and it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, they only need 2 weeks at that point. I do want to get into real quick some of the guys that we lost this offseason. Now, again, it doesn't matter. They're not with the team no more. It is what it is. But, we always forget. Sometimes you have to, look at a little bit in the past to try to figure out what you're doing in the present to get ready for the future, if you know what I'm saying. We already know the 3 major cuts on the team was Orlando Scandrick, Dez Bryant, and Benson Mayowa. Now, Benson Mayowa was the first one to get cut. He was cut, I think, back in March. Now, I think we're still paying money off of that contract. I'm not sure. I got to look into that. But who do you guys think that we'll miss? That's my question for you. Who do you think will be missed that we got rid of this offseason? Whether it was by cut or by losing them in free agency. Now, as far as our free agents that we lost, you got Kyle Wilber. You have Anthony Hitchens, of course. You have Alfred Morris. You got Bryce Butler. You have, well, we forgot about Benabin Wickery, but I guess Benabin Wickery doesn't matter. Because I think he went with the Arizona Cardinals, but, I mean, he was a special teamer for us anyway. He didn't really have many defensive snaps, so it's not too much to talk about. I'm just bringing all these guys up just for shits and giggles, you know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of these guys don't matter as far as what we lost, because we did gain some, so I'm going to talk about that too. But and of course we lost Witten and James Hanna to retirement. Now, Jason Witten, we already know. First ballot Hall of Famer, he better be, because it doesn't make sense if he's not. I mean, the model guy. Like I said before, Dalton Schultz has an uphill battle to fill the shoes of Jason Witten. But I think that Dalton Schultz is smart enough to get in this team and be the #1 tight end. The reason being, number one, he went to Stanford, and Stanford is one of those schools that is they run a pro-ready offense in their collegiate program. So that's a good thing, though, that the Cowboys did pick a player that makes sense to what they're doing right now. So hand clap for that one. James Hanna. Now, he retired because of injury. He's definitely still young enough to still play. You actually might see James Hanna is retired, but not really. He's on that reserve retired list, meaning that after, they still have the rights to him. So say if after this season, next season comes up, next off season, James Hanna comes up to the coaching staff and is like, hey, I think I'm ready to come back and play. The Cowboys have a choice whether they want to reactivate him. They can do that. They still have his rights. So James Hanna could possibly come back next season if he chooses to still play football again. At that point, he might enjoy the time off and be like, oh, I could do something else. But like I said, he's still young. He still can play. So we'll see what happens. Let his knee, his legs heal up, and that way, he could come back 100%. He doesn't have anything holding him back, because I think that was a smart move by him. Because if that were me, I'd probably make the same decision. Because again, sometimes when your body as a player, when your body breaks down, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just, I mean, it's just the way of the land. It sucks a lot, but it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about that. Our trades, I spoke about him before. We acquired Jihad Ward from the defense. Well, we're using him as a defensive tackle right now. From the Raiders, we gave up Ryan Switzer. Now, at first I was like, okay, we gave up Ryan Switzer, so who's going to be our return man? At that point in time, when that transaction went down, we didn't know what was going on. Like, everything was crazy that week. Jihad Ward looks like he might be beneficial for the Cowboys because, you know, reports coming out in camp. I mean, I understand the pads are not on yet, but he's been given all of our offensive linemen that he's been through that he went up against some fits. So let's see if he can wreak some havoc with the team this year. Like, he might end up being a good pickup for us because I think he was just a casualty in the Raiders. One thing that I want you fans to understand, and I'm giving it to you from my perspective, one thing that I noticed that when teams have new coaching staffs, they get rid of players sometimes because they think that that player may not fit what they're trying to do, not necessarily because of their talent. And I don't think it was because of talent. I don't think that they just knew how to use Jihad Ward. And I think that we're going to benefit from that. So, and I also think that Coney Ely is going to do good too. I think that we're benefiting both of those players by being with teams that didn't know how to use them. That's how I feel, because we're going to put them in the positions where their strengths is going to match what we're doing as a defense. So that should definitely help us out. I'm actually happy about that move. I feel sorry for Ryan Switzer though. I just wish that he had another chance because I feel like the team didn't use him right. They tried to make him into somebody like Tavon Austin, which I'm going to segue into him too. They tried to turn him into a web back. He's not a web back. He is a wide receiver. All you got to do is turn on North Carolina tape, and you can see what he was doing in that offense. He was a primary target in their wide receiver core. Yes, he just happened to be a wide receiver that's good at punt and kick returns. Now, again, did we need him or not? Because we did have a Cole Beasley. That's to be seen. We'll never know because we never knew what he can actually do in this offense. So I just wish that he had more time to prove himself to the Cowboys Nation fan base. But you know, it neither here nor there. There's nothing we could do about that now. It's just all talk at this point. Segueing to Tavon Austin. So we ended up trading him from the Rams, and we gave them a 6th-round draft pick. During the draft, I remember when it happened because I was in Texas at the time, and I was in the stadium, literally buying my helmet, my replica helmet. I was in the thing. Vosh, the stinking Giants fan was with me, and Michael Anthony Fitness was with me too at the time. It was us four. We were there all at the same time, and then I saw the report come out on my phone. I was like, dang, like, we got Tavon Austin. I'm like, okay, maybe they got rid of, at that point, they got rid of Ryan to make Tavon that guy to be their speedster, punt return, kick specialist. So, I mean, again, if they use Tavon right, like I said before, he can be good for us. Now, I know a lot of you guys are mentioning about his fumbles that he had with the Rams. Yes, he had that issue, but we'll see what he does with us. I mean, again, only time will tell with that one. Let's just hope that he doesn't have that issue anymore. But he is still fast, though. And we, Lord, did we need a speedster on this team in the worst way. Jameis Olawale. Those of you that haven't been on a rock that know that Jameis Olawale was with us before in 2014 when we drafted him in the later rounds. I think it was like the 6th round, but I liked him back then. But again, we put him on the practice squad. The Raiders snatched him up, and then, or did we cut him? It was one of the two things. But either way, we lost him to the Raiders, and he was over there, and they utilized him well. He did good. He ended up being one of the best fullback blockers in the league, and he can still run the rock too because, again, he can play both halfback and fullback, so which is a good thing. That versatility is what you need right there in that position. I mean, with Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, you already not beating him. So I mean, just the dynamic, just the things that we can do and the creativity that we could possibly have this season with Jameis Olawale being back on the team. It, to me, is just, I mean, the possibilities are endless for real. It's pretty much pick your poison at this point if they do it right. The coaching staff has to be creative, and they got to do it right. That's just how I feel about that. Now, Jameis Olawale, I'm glad that he came back to the team. We literally gave up, because we had like 3 6-round picks, so we ended up keeping one of them. So we gave one to the Rams for Tavon. We gave another one with Jameis Olawale to the Raiders, and then they gave us in turn they gave us their 5th round draft pick. So we ended up picking up another 5th. So I mean, it all worked out. And I know a lot of you guys that keep up with this just as much as I do already know this, but I'm just recapping. I'm just recapping right now. So I'm just looking back, because I'm looking at what we have, and we might have some diamonds in the rough right now in this offseason, which is going to be awesome if that's the case. I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to training camp and seeing what these guys can do. We also lost Jonathan Cooper too. He's with the 49ers now. I guess it probably doesn't matter, because we ended up getting Cameron Fleming and Marcus Martin, which Marcus Martin came from 49ers. So it's kind of like a swap without swapping, if you know what I mean. Like, they were both free agents that just happened to just swap teams, but it works like that sometimes. But like I said, we got talent on this roster right now, and I'm just loving it. Real quick though, he's not a part of this list because he was already signed in the offseason, but Deontay Thompson, you guys gotta, if you guys don't know much about him, like, yes, he only signed a 1-year contract, but that boy is fast. And if you go back and look at tape, I forget what game it was in the preseason. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. He actually played against us and had a 108-yard return for a touchdown. 12 seconds. That's all he needed to run 108 yards in 12 seconds. Like, that was crazy. I mean, the boy has speed. So, hell, if Sanjay Lau gets that boy on point, I'm telling you right now, we will not have a problem with his wide receiver core. Another segue. Do you guys think that we're going to miss Dez Bryant? And I'm not trying to speak on him again. I'm just saying, I'm just using this as posterity at this point. Dez Bryant, just real quick, I still don't understand to this point why they released him. You know, even looking at All or Nothing and seeing everything that transpired last year, I get that part. I get the yapping and all that. I get that. But the boy still has talent. And everybody's praising Sanjay Lau as being this technique guru and teaching his wide receivers how to run routes correctly. And when you look at what Sanjay Lau is doing with this team, I'm happy. But again, just like you guys didn't know a lot about Sanjay prior to him coming to this team, I didn't know much about him either. You know, I've done research on him. I know his track record, and I know that, you know, he was, in a lot of ways, he was a casualty on other teams. He just happened to be a wide receivers coach on teams that just happened to fail. It wasn't his fault. But I look at it like, again, these coaches that have been dropped, him and Richard, primarily I'm talking about, we'll see what Paul Alexander does with the offensive line. But we're not going to know, because our offensive line is already great. So no matter who's the coach, I could go out there and coach the offensive line and it'll still run the same, because they know what they're doing. Only thing he's really coaching is the new guys that came on the team and Connor Williams. Those are like the only people that he's really focusing on. All of our Pro Bowlers, they know what they're doing. But Sanjay Lau, like, you hear the players talking about him in positive ways, which is good. I don't know if you guys heard, but Cole Beasley came out and said basically in a nutshell, Cole Beasley was like, I never been on a, well, he's only been with the Cowboys, but he was like, I never been on an NFL team where I felt like I was learning how to run routes all over again. Now, if you look at it like this, most NFL teams don't coach you as far as running routes. They expect you to already know how to run routes from college. They don't go back to the basics because of the simple fact this is the pros. So when you get to the pro level, they expect you to already know the fundamentals. But Sanjay Lal said, hey, I'm going back to the fundamentals. I want these guys to learn. So I say that to say that if in fact Sanjay Lal is this coach that everybody is looking at to be the savior of technique as far as running routes, how come y'all didn't keep Dez Bryant? Because the main reason, Dez's main downfall, outside of dropping a couple of balls here and there, was his route running. Everybody criticized his route running. Yes, he needed to be better at route running. So if this coach is that guy that can help him, why did you not keep him to see what he can learn under Sanjay Lal? Because Dez Bryant is still better than any wide receiver on this team right now. We know that. Whether you agree or disagree with that, you have to agree with that because that's facts. Dez Bryant has more talent than all of the wide receivers that's on this team now. Not saying that these guys are bad, because they're not. Dez has always been a freak as far as catching the ball and the way, just the way he is. I mean, Michael Gallup could be like Dez Bryant, but it's going to take a couple of years because Michael Gallup just got in the league. He hasn't played a snap in the NFL yet, so it's going to take time for him. But I think that Michael Gallup is going to be he's going to be something. I can damn near guarantee you that. But outside of that, I'm just saying, as far as complete talent wise, if you take route running out of this, Dez has the most talent out of all these wide receivers that we have on this roster right now. So my whole thing is this. You put up with him for 7.5 seasons. So why not give him time with this coach? Because you got all these other guys out here that are learning the techniques from him too. Why didn't you do that with Dez? That's all I'm saying about that. Orlando Scandrick, we know why he's gone. Orlando Scandrick asked to be released, and to me, he was just being a cancer anyway. He was always Oscar the Grouch. Now, I may not understand why he was the way he was, but that's just the way he is. And, it is what it is. He didn't want to be on the team no more. Some of the things I understand that he was frustrated about, like, for example, when we didn't make adjustments in the game, and because I heard him on the sideline say things like, so we just going to sit here and not do nothing? We're just going to let them whoop our ass like that? That's basically what he was saying. So I guess he just got tired of that. He was like, well, if the coaching staff ain't going to change, I'm gone. And that was his choice. Bye. Peace. Deuces. So that's just what he wanted to do. Now, I feel sorry for Alfred Morris because Alfred Morris is, you can't say nothing bad about Alfred Morris. I mean, he is a good Christian man. I mean, I've never seen somebody so positive. And he's even more positive than I am. Like, even sometimes I get like, oh, I'm so sick of this. But I've never seen Alfred Morris raise a hand at nobody. I ain't never seen Alfred Morris even yell at nobody. Like, he's so humble. He's so smart. He's so, he's such a good guy. You can't dislike somebody. It's hard to dislike somebody like that. You know what I mean? And I just feel like he can still play, but again, he's not Ezekiel Elliott. And he still did decent behind his line. We just didn't use him enough. Now he's still out there. He's still not signed by anybody, which I'm actually shocked that nobody picked him up. But I mean, like I said, he was an all-around good guy. He was definitely an all-around good guy. And just to say that, I would say, as far as with Dez, Witten not being here on this team no more, who are we gonna miss the most? I'm gonna say Jason Witten, because of the simple fact that Jason Witten was who he was. Now, granted, Jason Witten wasn't winning no races, but he was a model of consistency. And he was a leader on this team. So not only did he affect this team on the field, but off the field as well. He was definitely that leadership on this team that we needed in that locker room for those young guys. So as far as missing people that we lost, I will say Jason Witten. Now, he's on the bigger and better things, so congratulations to him for that, but I feel like he will be missed more for that. Now, you can kind of, him and Dez, both Witten and Dez both did something that we did lose, which is big. Our red zone threat. They both were red zone threats. Jason Witten knew how to get open when we were in the red zone. Dez Bryant, the best at that back shoulder fade. So those are the two things that I think that we're going to miss. Outside of that, I think we're going to be good. We just have to get these young guys up and make sure that they stay focused. This team needs to stay focused. This team needs to stay focused. And if they can do that, we will have a successful season. Now, with that being said, that's all I got for y'all today. Thanks again, y'all, for all my subscribers. I appreciate all the supports, all the positivity, y'all comments. I appreciate everything. You guys have been awesome. Like I said, I do this for you guys because, I mean, you guys keep me motivated. The more and more you guys are positive for me, that helps me. And it just makes me feel good about doing this. Because it's not easy. I tell you, because a lot of people don't like being on camera and they don't like, you know, it's not as easy. It's not easy. But again, thanks again, y'all. And this has been your boy E2 Blue, always keeping it real. Until next time, y'all. Talk to y'all soon.